A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3, 4.
You are listening to Fantasy Brews.
Ooh, I'm pouring mine right away. Hello, there fantasy football people. It is officially week 1. Oh, this is not as dark as I thought it'd be.
It's darker than I thought.
Let's just get to the beer right away, because now I'm talking it up already.
What could it be?
We're drinking the Dragon's Milk White Bourbon Barrel-Aged White Stout from New Holland Brewing out of New Holland, Michigan. It is, I gotta taste it.
It looks really nice, and I've had one of these Dragon's Milk beers before.
Ooh, yeah, that is good. It's smooth. It's got like a vanilla taste, a little bourbony, but not too much. Ooh. But it's creamy. It's not anywhere near a normal stout. This is very good, actually. I like this. I've never had this before.
I forget what I had, but I had a bourbon barrel aged beer a while, years ago, and it just didn't ring with me. I've been avoiding
this is like a light one too.
Yeah, this is great. Good job.
Very good. Very smooth.
Michigan.
I think it's caramely too. Flavors,
and it's alcoholic.
Yeah.
If you're pregnant, because of the risk of birth defects, avoid drinking this particular beer, according to the can.
I'm not pregnant yet. I might be. I don't know. I'm late. It's officially week 1 of the NFL season, and we are officially here for episode 7 of Fantasy Brews, the podcast where we talk a lot of football and drink a lot of beer. We may even help you with your fantasy team along the way. Make sure to go follow us on Twitter at FantasyBrewsPod. We are available on Podbean, Google, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, so help us spread the word. I am Kyle Gagne here, as always, with my co-host, Michael Heinisch.
Hello again.
Yes, I am pumped to be even more lazy on Sundays again. I'm lazy on Sundays to begin with, but now I get an excuse.
It's built in for a third of the year.
Now I'm not lazy, I'm researching.
I'm an American. I'm researching. I'm doing work for the podcast.
Yeah.
I might have to do that on Mondays and Thursdays, too.
Big weekend ahead of us. Thursday night game, of course, Chiefs and Texans. Then we have a wedding on Saturday that we're both going to.
Yeah.
And then we have to watch games all Sunday.
We do.
We have to.
We must.
But with us, as always, will be beer.
It really snuck up on me. I'm just looking at lineups. We had a lot of drafts this weekend, or I personally had a lot of drafts this weekend. I'm looking at lineups at my teams and stuff, and I get to hitting me an epiphany of holy crap, I have to start people on Thursday or this weekend. I have to actually make decisions now. I haven't been mentally prepared for this. Thanks, COVID.
Yeah.
But it's a fun, not a surprise, but kind of a surprise.
And no delay on the season, which is great.
Yeah, everything's on track.
I just watched the ending of the Super Bowl. I was waiting for you to come over, and I was I turned on NFL Network to see if they had I could just listen to people talk. And the Super Bowl's on. I was oh, I know who wins, but why not? Chiefs won. Chiefs won it.
Spoilers.
And Andrew Reid, head coach.
When you first said that, I thought you just turned the game on. You're all right, let's just go to 5 minutes left in the fourth.
No, I just caught the last 2 minutes of the game, basically. Run down our show. We got our facts, stat, and some news updates just to make sure you don't miss anything. Then we will be recapping our redraft from this past weekend. Talking about some highlights in case you still have a super last minute draft. With some people just wait till week 1's over.
Yeah, there are those that, or a league it finally gets brought together after week 1.
Yeah, someone who didn't get the chance to be in a league but wants to join one. Anyways,
well, that's all the buzz about. Maybe somebody else forgot football starting in 2 days or today, depending on when you're listening.
Following that, we'll have our selections for week 1 high guys and low guys, and our Thrive Fantasy prop lock of the week. Week 1's going to be definitely the hardest to come up with highs and lows because you don't really know what's going to click with all the new stuff and what isn't and what's going to play factors. So week 1's a very hard one to do.
Yeah, it really is.
It'll be easier as the season goes and people actually have stat lines we can look at. Following that, we will talk our super early Super Bowl LV, which stands for Las Vegas predictions. Round it off with Brews Clues, of course. What does LV actually mean?
55.
It should be in Las Vegas. Is it in Las Vegas?
I really hope so.
Makes sense. Now, first of all, it makes sense because they got a brand new stadium. Second of all, it'd be Super Bowl LV in LV. That's just marketing done for you.
How could you pass on that opportunity? Well, it
Where?
turns out that it's in the Bucs Stadium in Tampa, Raymond James Stadium.
Oh, yeah. It was just there a couple years ago. It was there not too long ago.
Super Bowl TB.
Tom
LV.
Brady.
He's there.
Yeah, he's going to win it.
That must be why he went there. Anyways.
Starting off with our fact or stat.
And there you have the facts of life. The facts of life.
All right, so I'll jump in. Okay, so it's week 1 of the NFL season. We're finally here. The NFL kickoff game, the Thursday night game, is the Chiefs versus the Texans. So I just went full Pat Mahomes, jotted down some interesting notes about him, some of which you're probably aware of, you, Kyle, and you, the listener. But hopefully I teach you a thing or two as well.
He just won the Super Bowl.
He did. Did you know he was the MVP?
I do. He had 26 rush yards on 9 carries and a rushing touchdown. That was the stat line it showed for some reason.
That's
That's
probably
why he
more
won that
impressive than his passing stats, obviously. So Patrick Mahomes, son of Pat Mahomes, only QB in history to throw for over 5,000 yards in a season in both college and the NFL. He and Peyton Manning are the only two to throw for over 5,000 yards with a 50-touchdown season. Patrick Mahomes, 10-year contract, 10 years, $503 million. Richest contract in the history of professional sports, period. So that's pretty cool. His NFL MVP award in 2018 was, I believe that's the first Chief to win NFL MVP. Patrick Mahomes is also the youngest player to ever throw for 6 touchdowns in a game. He did it at 22 years old and 364 days. So he wasn't 23. That's what I have. Patrick Mahomes. I'm so excited to just watch some football. Patrick Mahomes is going to carve up, nothing against the Texans. He's just going to carve up whoever he plays against. It's going to be awesome. Football!
Yeah, so now that you guys know all about Patrick Mahomes, Mike, I bet you're looking at me and you're going, Kyle, why are you wearing that really cool Ezekiel Elliott white jersey with gold numbering and the dark blue sleeves because it's the coolest looking cowboy jersey? I bet you just asked yourself that.
I've been wondering that
Word
since
for
I walked
word.
in.
Out of the top 20 running backs in terms of rush yards from 2017, so just 3 years ago, only one is on the same team now.
Wow. Who is it?
Can you guess?
Is it Zeke?
It's Zeke!
Oh my gosh.
He was the number 10 in 2017, 983 yards. The rest of the list is as follows. I'll run through the names quick, starting at 1. Kareem Hunt, Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, LaShawn McCoy, Mark Ingram, Jordan Howard, Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette, C.J. Anderson, Ezekiel Elliott, Alex Collins, Frank Gore. You're probably going, Alex Collins, who's
Raven?
that? Ravens, yes.
Yeah.
Frank Gore, Carlos Hyde, Deion Lewis, Marshawn Lynch, Lamar Miller, J.J., Devontae Freeman, Isaiah Crowell, and Latavius Murray. Out of that list, the top 20 from 2017, only Zeke is with this team. So
That's crazy.
I don't like that.
No,
I like the guys who stick with the franchise, and that's what the franchise is known for. They're known for that player. And
running backs are rough, specifically too, because their careers are just shorter, unfortunately.
yeah, it just sucks. I like seeing consistent guys.
You know, when you said Frank Gore, I was thinking to myself about last week's stat of quarterbacks beating all 32 teams, and it was just quarterbacks. But I
Frank
wonder,
Gore, probably.
he might have beaten all teams. I'll have to look that up. We'll tweet it out.
Yeah.
Or if there's any others. I don't know how to look that up, but I'll figure it out.
But that's my stat just because I want to bring to attention that annoys me that players don't stick with teams. They
So
go
it
where
has
the money.
less-
Now they go where the money is, and these I like the days where no team was stacked. They all just had their guys. They have their guys because they drafted those guys.
So you hate Brady now?
I mean, it makes sense towards the end of your career, I guess, because Patriots paid him enough. They're like, oh, but now we got to give you this much.
Might have been not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you would know. Is it fully his choice, or was it maybe just the two sides couldn't meet eyes? They decided to take a break. Maybe they'll get back together.
See, I'm okay. Like a lot of people did do it at the end of the career too, which is, I mean, I'm not a fan of that. I like the guys who are just a one-team career guy, but it's very common for the very tail end of your career. But a lot of these guys weren't towards their career.
Jordy Nelson signed
Frank Gore had 30 years left in him, apparently.
Yeah, he's still going. Jordy Nelson signed a one-day contract. There's a lot of people that do that too.
Oh, to retire?
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if watch Brady play his 2 years and then
he'll
have
retire a Patriot for sure.
Well, yeah, but watch him play a full season with the Patriots just to.
Oh god, just to be like, why not?
Swan song.
That's my fact. Now, our news updates. Prior to week 1, I'm Kyle. With Mike. Wow.
Let me take that beer off your hand.
Almost had. Oh, that was in my notes.
What was?
That I screwed up.
You
It says screw up names.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Yep, you saw it.
That was my Brews Clues intentional mistake the other week.
Adrian Peterson, cut by the Washington football team, signs 1-year deal with the Lions. That was very shocking. I did not see that coming at all.
Figured it'd go somewhere, obviously. The Lions isn't the weirdest team for him to go, but wouldn't have been my guess.
Well, I expect him to just be used as much this year as he was last year. I mean, yeah, he's another year older, but they don't have much of a choice. But apparently their choice was to cut him.
What are the implications?
Now, you've said that word implication a couple of times. Well, what implication?
Probably not too bad because the Lions got him right away pretty quick.
I think for the Lions, I don't know what to think because it was kind of like, well, DeAndre Hopkins, damn it, I'm just going to be so bad at this. DeAndre Swift, it's been like muddy, in Detroit, not physically like with the weather, but like the clarity of what's going on. There was word that the other running back, Kerryon Johnson, is going to be starting, and then to bring in Peterson, like it just makes me lose a little confidence that I might have even had, which was small to begin with either of those guys, at least to like start this season.
Yeah, that's why when I heard that, I was like, oh, because I took Swift in Dynasty, but still I was like, it's a Dynasty. If I don't need to use him this year, and it's not like Peterson's going to be taking carries from him for years and years.
Right,
he's on a 1-year deal, first of all, and he might retire, but I wasn't worried about it. I mean, I expected Swift to not get going until like week 6 or 7 anyway, so I didn't see too much of an impact there.
With any drafts
but
left,
as
don't
far
draft
as
him.
Redrafts, it's like grab later on. But
yeah, because even if he could go undrafted, you can pick him up later if you want. And if somebody drafts him, bet you he's on the waiver wire in a few weeks when he doesn't do anything the first couple
this
weeks.
one move made all 3 of those running backs drop.
Right.
Literally somehow.
100%.
Adrian Peterson going to a new team drops him because he would have gotten a lot more in Washington. It drops Swift because he's not going to have nearly as much impact right away anymore, and it drops Johnson because Peterson's going to be stealing carries from him too. So.
It's exactly what makes week 1 so difficult because, like, is Peterson just like, okay, well, Swift isn't healthy, so Kerryon will be the starter, and we need somebody to back him up, or are both of them not healthy too much, and they need Adrian Peterson? Who knows what it is? So just let week 1 happen and see what happens. I would say on the other side for the Washington football team, I think the gate's wide open for Antonio Gibson.
I think Gibson and Love both go up automatically. Gibson, more valued in PPR, but he should benefit the most either way. But in PPR, he's even more valuable. Love is worth gambling on, and he could be just as valuable in the long run.
Yeah, and if you didn't hear the news of when Adrian Peterson got cut, he literally came out and said, yeah, they've been giving Antonio Gibson the ball in camp. Like Adrian Peterson, the guy who got cut, then went to say it's because Antonio Gibson he thinks is going to get a lot of work for sure. So that's really interesting.
And they probably saved themselves a lot of money.
They probably did.
Because Gibson is getting peanuts.
Yeah, for at least
especially
4
compared
years.
to what they would be forced to give Peterson.
100%.
More running back news. Damian Harris from New England, placed on IR, set to miss at least 3 games. Patriots also cut Lamar Miller and brought J.J. Taylor out from the practice squad. J.J. Taylor doesn't matter. Lamar Miller never mattered. But the Harris does have effect, I think. Sony Michel benefits, I think, definitely. He's the only like one they know is good to go, really.
I don't think James White gets more of a role now.
No.
Maybe an extra target or 2 a game now
and
that
Rex
Harris is
Burkhead
out.
either.
So I was wondering about this because my understanding was if you're placed on IR, it's like a 6-week minimum thing, right? But everything I'm reading is what you just said, that he's going to miss at least 3 games. Is he able to play week 4? There's something I'm missing. Yeah, well, I thought it was like the rules of IR.
I don't know the rules of IR. If they say IR, I can move them in my lineup. And pick up someone new.
Someone tweet us and let us know how that works. Why you can come back after 3 weeks only.
I don't know, but Sony Michel's still not worth an early round pick though. But his value still goes up a little bit. Like maybe a couple spots in as far as overall ADP, but not too much.
Yeah, you might get a little bit out of the first few games, and then who knows from there. It's interesting because most drafts are done now, especially by the time you're listening to this, I suppose. Some will still happen, but the Damian Harris good news is I guess it's good for, like, I didn't draft Sony Michel on any of my drafts, but I was always watching. If he went so far down, like, you might as well. And if you were one of those people that did that, this is, it's not good news that somebody's injured, but it's good news for maybe the first few weeks at least for Sony Michel owners.
I never draft Patriots receivers because they're always just a crapshoot.
I literally have the same feeling about drafting Patriots running backs, and I've mentioned it before, like years ago. And then I went and drafted one in the rookie draft, Damian Harris.
PTSD from
Blunt?
3 or 4 years ago when I drafted Jonah Gray. And then I didn't start him week 1 because who would have? And then he goes off and I was like, oh, I got to start this guy. And then nothing. So then I vowed never to draft a Patriots receiver.
I don't know the whole list off that.
And they haven't even changed their style. It's the exact same, just all these random
we're
guys.
talking about Sony Michel and James White. Rex Burkhead is still there,
J.J.
too.
Taylor have 4 touchdowns.
He probably will, because that's what Bill
Lock it in! J.J. Taylor, 4 touchdowns on 6 yards.
Who's the leading rusher week 1 for the Patriots? I know the answer. It's obvious.
Michelle.
It's Cam Newton.
Oh, God. No. I don't believe that.
Yeah, probably not. But maybe. Wouldn't be that surprising.
No, it wouldn't be.
If Sony Michel, if he runs a little more and Sony sucks like he did last year, not sucks, but he wasn't good.
They were playing the Jets.
That's a really good point.
But, I mean, if anything, they'd stop the rush more. The Jets have no good part of their defense. But if you had to pick a better part, it would be their rush defense, because they had lost Jamal Adams at another safety opt out, so they're Cam Newton, if anything, is just gonna
it's like the
easily
least bad part.
Right? In other news, I include this because I just don't understand it. Devontae Freeman does not sign with the Jags.
Yeah, you visited him, right? He worked out for him or something?
He worked out for him. He did not sign with the Jags. I have no clue why this man's not on a team. But hopefully he gets signed before the season starts. Sunday, basically. Not that he'd have a role in week 1 anyways, but otherwise I can imagine he will be signed right away when the first wave of injuries hits.
Yeah.
Because he's the most valuable free agent out there right now.
Yeah, word on the street was and maybe this has changed with, time passing and the new agent, but he wanted more money than he was being offered initially. And who knows, what if it's 4 weeks in and somebody like a good running back that gets hurt and the team is like, well, we're 3-1, we're 4-0, our starting running back is down. The price for it could go back up for Freeman or somebody else in his situation.
Well, I almost took him in our redraft towards the very end of the draft just for gambling, and because this was at the point where he'd still said he was just visiting with the Jags. It didn't say he didn't sign yet. So I was like, literally up to the second, I was like, did anything happen? Did anything happen with him? I was like, I'm not going to take him, which paid off, I guess, but because if he would have signed with the Jags, he would have shot up, obviously.
Right, for sure. My wife still has him on her dynasty team, just in case.
Oh, yeah, well, that makes sense. Still on him in dynasty. He'll go somewhere.
He's got to, right?
I thought he was worth a pick at the end, but alas, the Jags did not bite.
Right.
They would have just traded him right away.
They probably would have.
Yeah, I'd been like, hey, we just signed Devontae Freeman. Who wants him? He's been a free agent all offseason.
Thanks, Devontae.
Also, Bears name Mitch Trubisky their starter over Nick Foles, who just keeps getting passed around but thrown money at. Here, you guys take him. Here, Nick, here's all this money to not do shit.
So our dynasty league has a couple STD players like Stephon Diggs and Zeke that have been traded. They've been on half of the teams in the league. Maybe Nick Foles is the real NFL STD.
I've had him multiple times.
You did. You traded the first overall. You got the first overall pick for him in a trade.
Yeah, once upon a time. It was. I mean, I just cut him because I needed a kicker, but I still have Trubisky. I just think it's fucking hilarious because Nick Foles just spending his whole career on a roller coaster of injured starters and these overpaid contracts that he's receiving. He's just benefiting. You don't have to do anything, but this guy's hurt, and then he's like, "Oh, cool." He hasn't done anything while he's actually been a named starter. The only time he actually performs is when he was backing someone up originally.
Super Bowl win. Was that his 27 touchdown, 2 interception season was in relief as well, at least initially?
And when he was last year when he was actually the starter and he got hurt, but then when he actually came back, he just sucked.
Yeah.
And so he lost the job.
Yeah, that's right.
But then whenever he was in Philadelphia and Wentz would get hurt, he came in, he'd do great. But then I think he had, at that one season he had where he was actually the starter in Philly, or it was there's some other team. Rams maybe?
Oh, that sounds right. I'll bet it.
But he just does not perform when he's actually pressured. He just needs to relax more.
Maybe he's good under pressure, and he's bad when he's not under pressure. Not football pressure, but I work well under pressure. Yeah, he was with the Rams for 2015. He was the Chiefs for 2016.
Yeah.
Neat.
I just think Foles is why do people keep paying this man
yeah,
for anything but a backup role?
Well, now
he's a great backup. He could be the best backup in the league. But pay him backup money.
Yeah, pay him the best backup money. But
the best backup money.
Other news with people being named the starter, James Robinson, running back for the Jaguars. Have you heard that? Not a huge impact.
There's so many. I don't understand. All the roster stuff is stupid because they also named Gesicki as the tight end too. Because they're gonna use like the main tight end. I guess their number one tight end now.
Blocking tight end, maybe?
For blocking, basically.
Sure.
But they named Gesicki too. There's a ton of weird roster orders out there, so I don't know. It doesn't make sense, and it's all stupid.
The Robinson news I just bring up like super quick because he wasn't even one of the names that at least I was hearing. He was Armstead and the other guy. That were like,
I wasn't hearing him either.
Yeah, and so now like I'd be like if you are in a dire position where like maybe you drafted running back super late, one of them was Fournette, now you're scared or something, like maybe you can throw him in, or at least like Robinson's a great guy to like pick up right now. Don't play him unless you absolutely have to. You shouldn't have to, and then just see what happens. Like if sometimes teams do that weird thing where like, yeah, here's the starter, he gets the first snap or the first carry. And then it's all Chris Thompson, or it's all whoever the hell the other guy is, Zigbo or something. So I would pick him up. I wouldn't play him, but I would pick him up and just see what happens. If you can pick up a starting running back off the waivers, it's never a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Last bit of news. Jadeveon Clowney to the Titans. I'm pumped about this one. 1 year max value of $15 million. So Titans D moves up to actually considering drafting. Like one of the Ds that you actually would want to get. They opened up the season against the Broncos. They play the Jags twice and they also play the Bears and the Lions. So I think their defense is set up for success.
That's cool. Something cool about those defenses too is like the Ravens, probably better defense, but the Ravens have a way better offense. So like if the Ravens are like ahead of you by like 21 points, the other team is going to try to throw the ball. Like there's a higher chance that the Ravens defense is on the field more. They might get scored on and you just lose points that way, even if the defense does their work. But the Titans, like that ground pound, game style with Derrick Henry, like they won't score as many points in general, which isn't a bad thing. Like their defense will mitigate everything, but I like their defense for teams like that. That's awesome.
Those are the news updates we got. We're going to go over now a little bit of our redraft 12-team standard 15-round draft. Okay, I'm going to start off by asking a question. What percentage of drafts do you think go off without a hitch?
Well, based on my experience with our startup draft for the Dynasty, it can be tough.
2 days prior to this draft, all 12 members of the league were going to make it. 2 days prior.
That sounds really nice.
It was great. An all-in-person draft. Beautiful. Perfect. No problems are going to come up from that. One person was exposed to somebody who tested positive corona, who lived with she lived with the 2 other members, so they also stayed back, and another one was in Michigan, so he just forgot. He ended up auto-drafting. The other 2 were like driving home, and the other one was just in chat and couldn't FaceTime. So it did not go as well, but I'm announcing I'm officially switching from NFL.com next year because they fucked me. It didn't let me make selections during the draft. Every year I've done it on NFL.com, I can stop the draft and I can pick exactly who goes to what team.
Right, as commissioner.
But this year it just wouldn't let me.
That's so weird.
My only options were to pause the draft, undo a pick, and change the time.
And then we had that issue, I think it was 2 years ago, where like week 1, the app just kept crashing. You couldn't look at what was going on during the games, which is pretty frustrating.
I've officially had enough of NFL.com, and I'm not going back there, but I'll probably just be going to sleeper.
Thanks for playing football, nationalfootballleague.com.
A few highlights of our draft. We'll go over our teams first. Mike, run down your team real quick.
Yeah, I'll go position by position. So obviously this is not the order I drafted in, but my 2 quarterbacks, I have 2... worth it. I have 2 quarterbacks, Matt Stafford and Josh Allen. I like Matt Stafford a lot this year, especially with how late you can get him, and Josh Allen has a good week 1 matchup. He plays the Jets. The Jets? The Dolphins. It's the Jets. It's one of those 2. It's a good matchup because the Patriots play the Dolphins. Jets. Fuck!
Jesus Christ! Whoa! Dolphins, Jets, Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots, Dolphins. Nope.
It's one of those 32 teams.
Patriots,
31.
Dolphins, Jets.
So Stafford, I like long term. He plays the Bears. Josh Allen has a
Vikings
matchup. No,
Packers.
No, the Packers play the Vikings. I know
Bears?
that one. So I'm going to start Josh Allen week 1. I got Stafford after that. My running backs, I went hard early. I got Mixon and Chubb. 4th round, I got David Johnson, and then I grabbed Zach Moss a little later. At receiver, I think this would be my weak point in my team with how heavy I went at running back. But I do have A.J. Brown, Tyler Lockett, and A.J. Green. A.J. Green is 100% good to go for Sunday. News came out, so that's exciting. which is at 3. Behind that, I have Deebo Samuel, who also might not miss any games, which is crazy, and Golden Tate, who is injured right now. And then at tight end,
So you could get fucked at wide receiver, potentially.
I actually have a right end that I forgot. Brian Edwards, recently named on a bullcrap depth chart as a starting receiver for the Raiders. He's their 3rd-round rookie, not their 1st-round rookie. And then at tight end, I have Jared Cook. My defense is the Colts, who have a great Week 1 matchup. And I drafted Lutz, traded him for Crosby with the last pick because she wanted Lutz for a team name. I feel it was. Who gives a fuck about kickers?
How'd you feel about that Jared Cook pick?
Oh my god, yeah, we were. I didn't. He was the last for me when I was looking at the rankings or my list. He was it was him, and then it was a drop off. There are other names I like later on in drafts for sure, but Cook is him, and then it kind of fell off for me. So I took him in the 7th. I literally put the sticker up, and I'm turning back to walk the 6 feet to my chair, and I'm just man, it did not feel good. I said it out loud. It was. I'm not super upset about it, but to look at some of the names that are around there, I might want an Edelman or a Jerry Jeudy to take a stab at or something. Hopefully Jared Cook makes it worth my while. He should be pretty good. I just worry that he'll have a couple games where he kind of disappears.
Yeah. Well, I think Sanders takes a lot away from him too.
Yeah, he plays that kind of role.
Who's on my team? I had the 3rd pick in the draft.
I had the 11th, I should add.
I took Zeke. So my starting running backs are Zeke, Eckler, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Tevin Coleman, and Bryce Love. Obviously, I have my 2. We start 2 running back, 3 wide receiver. So I took my solid running backs, and I took some risks in the other ones. By the time I need them, hopefully they'll be established. And looking at you, Cam Akers.
You said it well during the draft. One of those guys.
One of them is going to pay off, and the other ones will easily get dropped for whoever's hot that week on the waiver wire.
Right.
So I'm okay with that. My quarterback is Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to have a good year. Not a superb year, but good enough to get him in the 12th round. My wide receivers, Allen Robinson, Cortland Sutton, Brandon Cooks, Marvin Jones Jr., Emmanuel Sanders, and Brashad Perriman. I'm very happy with my wide receivers.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I am because mine are all very safe. They're all safe, and they all are good enough to give me good points.
Actually, now that I'm looking at the snake order, Marvin Jones was who I was hoping would get back to me at the end of the 7th round.
Instead of Cook?
And then I took Cook because you used him.
At my tight ends, I got Hayden Hurst and Chris Herndon. So I'm happy with my tight ends, especially Hurst. And I don't have a kicker defense yet, but I will get one.
So you got to drop 2 of your players.
Yeah, Coleman and Love.
Well, that was easy.
Or I was considering Coleman Love or Love Herndon, or try to do a 2-for-1 trade, but I'm really not worried about it. I think honestly those are the ones I'm considering is Coleman, Love, Herndon.
I mean, that's why you take those shots at the end of there. You got Bryce Love with your second to last pick, and news could have easily came out that said he's starting week 1. Or
more times than not, there's a last minute scratch, and
right.
You'll probably be someone on your team.
We were looking. Okay, well, take it away for the next thing because I have a thought now.
Oh, about the steal of the draft?
Yeah.
We were just examining the board, and we didn't really find any steals. Our draft went oddly well, as in the sense where everyone was taken where they should have probably been taken for the most part.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like there weren't any guys that there fell a few rounds holy crap, that was a steal.
And we thought that's because he had the 11th pick, I had the 3rd pick. Now, a lot of our league doesn't know too much, not as much as we would, but we're thinking that one of us on each end never let anyone fall too much.
Yeah, there was only ever at most 5 or 6 picks between us or ourselves. So
yeah.
I think we did a good job of normalizing the league. That being said, there were a couple names that we were kind of debating. I personally, so Antonio Gibson went in the 9th round, 3 picks before where I took Golden Tate, and I almost took Gibson in the 8th round at the start of the 8th round. I chose not to. I thought he would fall to me, so I think that was a good pick.
I feel like I got Sanders in the 9th. Is not too bad.
It's a pretty good one too.
Gonna be their number 2
for a freaking great offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think great value. In the
maybe
9th.
A Super Bowl team.
Oh
no, I didn't pick them. I wrote them down at first though.
Hunter Henry in the 10th.
That's a good one
because taken before Hunter Henry was Blake Jarwin and Tyler Higbee and Gronk and Jared Cook, all who could. I see Hunter Henry as pretty high on my
Hunter Henry, the difference between all those guys outside of Gronk, who I'm nervous about just in general, at least Hunter Henry was proving it. Like,
Yeah.
Blake Jarwin, you're
Yeah.
hoping he's going to, and he should do well. You're
Oh, it
hoping
could pay
for
off,
though. For sure. But Hunter Henry,
And the
he's shown you he's good.
The person who took Hunter Henry took Higbee 3 rounds earlier, which is interesting. They got the better tight end later. But as far as bad picks...
Wait, there was one steal that caught my eye.
What?
I don't think it's a crazy good steal, but David Montgomery in the 7th round. I think you're
Yeah,
kind of
that's
buying
pretty
the
good.
injury dip.
That is
He was
pretty
kind of hurt momentarily, and I think he's fine.
Even Fournette right after him as
Yeah.
well. Not a bad pick in the 7th.
Montgomery, I likely would have taken. I like to think at this moment in time of clarity, I would have taken Montgomery in the 7th over Jared Cook had he been there as well. But obviously, I can't confirm that.
Bad picks. Gronk going in the 5th.
Yeah, he was the 5th, 6th quarterback. Kittle, Kelsey. This is in order: Kittle, Kelsey, Mark Andrews, Zach Ertz, Darren Waller, Evan Ingram. So he was the 7th. Sorry, Gronk. Like those tight ends you were just naming that went before Hunter Henry, all should be going before Gronk.
Dak Prescott in the 3rd.
That was early. I like Dak Prescott a lot this year. That was early.
Corey Davis at all.
Corey Davis got drafted.
Was selected in the 11th round of all places. I don't agree with that pick.
That was a rough one.
But really, the draft went over pretty well. There was nothing too shocking, nothing too anything.
Yeah, good job, all of us.
We did it.
Not just us, the whole gang.
The whole gang. But I'm looking forward to handing away the loser's trophy this year. I don't want it anymore.
You can get beers all season in the meantime.
Now we can finally talk about actual games, week 1, guys. We have matchups. We have real football starting. It's not all speculation. It's making your teams now. This is actually games. We are going to present our week 1 high guys and our low guys. High guys are guys we think are going to perform well. We're very high on them, easily startable. Low guys are guys that could be started, but we're still not thinking they're going to have huge performances in week 1. Again, hard to determine when we haven't seen matchups yet, but we're going to throw some out there.
I might throw some straight up sits in there too, but we'll clarify as we go.
Hi, guys. For quarterbacks, I went with Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks.
Nice.
Taking on a very lackluster Falcons D. He's got the best set of wide receivers he's ever had in his career. And he added Dorsett as the number 3, as well as Greg Olsen at tight end, with Disley coming back as well. I think Russell Wilson set up for success not only in week 1 against a D that's got nothing on him really, but for the season. I don't even like Russell Wilson that much, but I still think he's going to tear it up with what he's got. He's got the weapons. People still consider them a rush first offense.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Absolutely. All right, I took a high guy at quarterback as well, because that's the segment. I took him for the similar reasons, but he's ranked much, much lower. I've talked about Teddy Bridgewater before. He might not... He's somebody you can start if you're in the position where you need to. If you went like super late on quarterback, like super, super late, and just punted the position and you need one, you could probably even get him off the waivers. But he plays the Las Vegas Raiders. I think the defense is meh. It should be, if anything, it should be a higher scoring game. He's definitely somebody you can start if you need to. There are names above him that you can start over him as well if you want. But he's got DJ Moore. He can go deep with Curtis Samuel and Robbie Anderson.
We're not going to tell you to start Lamar Jackson. You know that.
Right, yeah. I'm trying to tell you guys, like, maybe it's a confidence boost, right? Like, I think that's
Don't
what
start
Bridgewater is.
Robert Griffin III.
That's a good call.
I don't think he's going to do well week 1.
Probably not. If he does, it's not for a good reason. So Teddy Bridgewater, there are probably names above him, but he's somebody you can definitely throw in a pinch. It's a good matchup, and he's got a stacked team to throw to.
Who do you have ranked low for week 1?
My quarterback that I'm ranking low for week 1 is Daniel Jones. I think there's a lot of excitement about him. He had a number of 4 touchdown games last year, a number of 300 plus yard touchdown game, or not touchdown, 300 yard plus games last year. I'm excited for the prospects for him this year and going into his second year. He's got good weapons around him as well, including another beastly running back in Saquon Barkley. But I think the matchup is just too much for him to overcome in week 1. I'm thinking I could try to start somebody else. He plays Pittsburgh. He plays the Steelers. So I'm avoiding that.
I almost put him as my low guy just for the Steelers defense.
That's exactly why. It's not on Daniel Jones. I hope he takes the step up, but it's the matchup. I'm benching him in favor of Ryan Tannehill in the Dynasty League this week.
You won't agree with my low, but you might when I say some numbers. I'm very low on Aaron Rodgers in week 1.
I almost put him down for this.
The Packers are hurting at wide receiver and tight end. Aaron Jones is established now and can dominate on his own, running it. Last year against the Vikings, Rodgers scored 14.36 and 9.34 fantasy points in 2 games. He only threw 2 touchdowns. That was in 1 game. In 1 game, he had 2 touchdowns and no picks. The other game, he had no touchdowns and 1 pick.
That's crazy.
That's his stats against the Vikings last year. I have Rodgers very low week 1. If you can start someone over him, probably. I mean, he's not going to be a terrible option. I mean, those weren't great numbers from last year.
He could have a 300-yard,
he could
4-touchdown game, but probably not this week. Vikings defenses did nothing but improve in the offseason, especially very recently in a couple trades. And then on top of that, if you haven't noticed, Matt LaFleur, new head coach, not new anymore, but second-year head coach for the Packers, he likes a pretty even split between running and passing, and McCarthy just submitted to Aaron Rodgers' will before that.
I am low on Rodgers for week 1. I'm sure I'll be high in him other weeks.
That's a great pick.
Running back, very high on Josh Jacobs being basically an RB1 the RB1 week 1. Carr's having 2 rookies starting at wide receiver who won't be fully ready or established, and he's playing a game against the lame Carolina D. So Josh Jacobs is set for a huge week 1. Sophomore slump be damned.
Do you remember a couple weeks ago, you super briefly talked about Theo Riddick being signed by the Raiders?
Yeah.
Cut. Lynn Bowden Jr., their 3rd-round rookie selection, who kind of had people like, man, is he a receiver or running back? Is he maybe a receiving running back? Traded to the Dolphins.
Wale just visited the Raiders, didn't he?
Seriously? I did not know that. So, yeah, you Josh Jacobs, I think he's going to get that passing work. I think those signs of those guys being cut or traded, big for Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, for sure.
My high running back is Chris Carson. It's definitely a little more clear with where we are now in the offseason, 2 days before the season. But pretty much throughout the entire offseason, it's been is Chris Carson healthy for week 1? Is Carlos Hyde going to have a little bit of a role? Rashad Penny, definitely not playing. But Chris Carson, it's a confidence boost. He's a great player. The matchup against Atlanta, I really like. The run defense is okay, but not great. And I think that's another one where both those teams have pretty good offenses and run-of-the-mill defenses. So I think it's a mix for a high-scoring matchup. Chris Carson should definitely be involved. And I think he's been fully cleared and 100%ed and stuff like that. He himself said that, I believe, but other people have said it too.
He's a doctor.
Chris Carson.
And you are low on...
I'm low on Leonard Fournette against the Saints. I don't know if
he just got there.
Exactly. If people are thinking man, oh my God, new running back for the Buccaneers. He got Tom Brady. He's got all these players. Holy crap. Don't do it.
He just got there.
That's pretty much why. You don't know what's going to happen week 1 with him. He's probably, Bruce Arians said he will be involved. Bruce Arians was smart about it. He's he's going to be involved, but he obviously doesn't know the whole, ins and outs of everything yet. You're right. He just got there. But if you're thinking about playing Leonard Fournette, I would really, really encourage you to look for somebody else. The defense with the Saints is really good, and you just don't know. If Leonard Fournette goes out there and gets 20 carries, I'm willing to be wrong and start him next week. But if he goes out there and is barely involved because he's just not quite there yet with that team, I don't want to be on the losing end of that bet, if you will.
I am low on Le'Veon Bell for the New York Jets. I don't see a real bounce back season from him, especially with all the gab we've been hearing out of training camp. Mm-hmm. He's still not getting along with a lot of the staff. The Buffalo D is going to shut down everything about the Jets, just in general. Jets will be trying to pass a lot as well, since the D will be giving up enough to be an uphill battle. I mean, they're playing the Bills, but I'm not expecting a super high-scoring offense from the Bills.
Right.
Unless they're playing the Jets. In which case... I expect the Jets to not only be passing a lot, but also be being shut down in every aspect.
That's a good pick.
So Le'Veon Bell is very low for week 1. I'm hoping at some point he's going to get himself back together because he was great to watch, but I don't see it being on the Jets.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there was that one point not that long ago where news came out that Frank Gore was the most impressive running back in camp. So take that for what you will.
Wide receivers now. I am high on Julian Edelman from the New England Patriots up against that Miami defense, if you want to call it that.
They do start 11 players on defense.
Yeah, well, it's no Jets defense.
That's true. That's true.
I got Julian Edelman as my high guy because he's the only truly reliable piece of Patriots offense right now. Cam Newton, you don't know what's going to happen 100% yet. The number 2 is N'Keal Harry, and then they got rid of Sanu, so then they don't know what they're doing there. Their tight end is a rookie starting. Their running back game is all over the place. The one piece that's consistent is Julian Edelman.
Absolutely.
So I see him just sticking to what has already worked, especially in week 1 while the Patriots are trying to find their rhythm. Julian Edelman, I'm very high on.
That's a great high pick for, where in the draft you might.
Yeah, because
you probably
he goes like 6th, 7th rounds
but
in
you
drafts.
Can start him.
Yes.
I went a similar approach. If you've been listening to even one episode, you know how much I love Deshaun Jackson this year. Deshaun Jackson should be the starting wide receiver in week 1 for the Eagles. Alshon Jeffrey managed to avoid being placed on the PUP. He's not going to play week 1, though. Or if he does, you don't want to play him. Maybe he's a decoy. And Jalen Reagor, similar boat. He was at risk of being placed on IR or something. And he's fine. He should be okay. But I'm not super excited for those rookies week 1 either. So Deshaun Jackson is clearly the lead dog for a fantastic quarterback with Carson Wentz. And they play the Washington football team, which is also not that great of a defense.
Is there any rookie you would for sure start
Clyde.
based on their okay? Yes, but he's the only one.
I jumped so fast because I don't know if there is another one.
No
Yeah.
rookies should be started. Maybe Clyde is the only one.
One that's kind of interesting is my opinion on Jonathan Taylor is you aren't going to get a lot of value out of him right away. Marlon Mack's going to start, but they play. I don't remember who they play. They play a pretty crappy team, I believe. And you could be in they play the Jaguars. So if the Colts actually get up enough in the game and they have a comfortable-ish lead, maybe Jonathan Taylor gets some more work. So maybe this week, but I wouldn't start him over a lot of names. I don't think there's any other rookies. No receivers, no. Burrow, I guess, if you really need to somehow. I would rather start
Henry
Bridgewater
Ruggs?
over Burrow.
Maybe.
Would you rather start Henry Ruggs or Brian Edwards there?
Right.
I've heard so many great things about Brian Edwards. I'm pumped for that. I wanted him in our rookie draft, and my wife fucking got him.
And you are low on?
I am low on... I jotted down a few names. I'll give some honorable mentions, but Brandon Cooks against Kansas City is the one I'm a little nervous about. This is one where I'm not saying sit Brandon Cooks, but the Kansas City Chiefs have a really good defense, or a pretty good defense.
Pretty good. I wouldn't say really good.
Yeah, I would say pretty good. I agree. The receivers there, Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller, it's pretty evenly split on who's going to be the lead dog there. I think Brandon Cooks is going to be good throughout the year. I think he'll have some disappearing act games and stuff like that. But I'm just a little nervous. It's kind of like a scenario where I'm kind of wondering or hoping if I have another, maybe a better option. I would take Deshaun Jackson over Brandon Cooks this week, for example. And then this just very recently came out, but apparently Brandon Cooks was not seen at practice today with a quad injury. He was limited, it sounds like. So I don't know if it's going to actually affect anything, but there is a small chance that it might not be ready for Thursday's game, for the Thursday week opener. If he doesn't play, I'm telling you right now, if Brandon Cooks, don't start him if he's not playing. He will get you no points.
I am low for receivers on Emmanuel Sanders from the New Orleans Saints. This is only for week 1. After week 1 or 2, I'm ecstatic about Sanders. But he needs at least a week or 2 to get acquainted with that offense. Not a lot of work with Breeze yet either. I saw that at practice just this past week, he didn't even throw to Sanders.
Wow.
Saints will stick with what has been working for them, as they should. There's nothing really much has changed. They just brought him in as well, but he may not be fully acquainted yet. Even with a high-scoring game, I expect a lot of it to be Kamara against the Bucks, and the Saints are trying to run out a lot of clock against a Tom Brady that should never be given time to make a game-winning drive. So I see a shootout in that game for sure, but I see it coming down to run game, and the Saints are going to do whatever they can to get that clock to 0, so Tom Brady doesn't have a chance to come back against them.
That's a good pick. I like it.
Especially with guys who he can actually just bomb it to and they will catch it.
My honorable mentions, just super fast. We don't know if Alshon's playing yet, but if he is playing, I'm not taking him first game back off that injury.
No.
Deebo Samuel also avoided being placed on the PUP or whatever. He plays the Cardinals, which is a decent matchup, but with that foot injury, it's just another guy. I just want to see what happens first. I'm not going to start him week 1.
Moving on to tight ends, I am high on Darren Waller from the Las Vegas Raiders. For many of the same reasons I'm high on Josh Jacobs, because Waller will basically be their wide receiver 1 to start, especially in PPRs. I'm double high on him. He's going to be getting a lot of looks. Expect a lot of targets going his way against the Carolina D as well, because they're starting rookies, and he is their best option, really.
I like it. All right, my high tight end is Jared Cook. You were talking about a potential shootout in that game with the Saints against the Buccaneers. And I definitely agree with that. It seems like the game, the Saints have a pretty good defense and the Bucs are okay. But there's both super high-powered offenses. So Jared Cook, I had mentioned my concern about him when I drafted him, when we talked about the draft a little bit ago, and I'm worried he might disappear occasionally, which means you're kind of looking for, like, where is his higher chance to score a touchdown? And I think the game against Tampa Bay could be that opportunity for sure. So I'm going to win with Jared Cook at tight end.
And you are low on?
In the same game, I'm low on Gronk. The worry is a little more than just, is Gronk still where he's at? We don't even know what his role is in the offense. Is he going to be the number one tight end on the field all the time that Brady loves? That very well could happen. Is he going to be like a second fiddle to whoever the else they have there? It's not even Cameron Brate that I'm thinking of, but the other guy, O.J. Howard.
O.J. Howard.
But Gronk, he could be great. It's just one of those things that I want to see first. I want the first game to happen, be in the books, and see what his role actually is before I just play a guy who's on the field 30% of the time.
I can see him being more of a Waller than an original Gronk.
He could, for sure. And if that's the case, that would be really nice to have.
Yeah, because he slimmed down a ton. I could see him, his stamina is probably better. He's not going to be used as blocking as much because he lost a lot of muscle mass, not like a dramatic amount, but he's noticeably slimmer.
I'm sure he's still got the mind meld with Brady. So all those things check the boxes. It's, again, like some of the other guys with the Brandon Cooks. I'm willing to be wrong in week one.
Well, plus they got a lot of guys to cover, too.
They do.
There's not enough defense to cover the guys they have.
Goes both ways. Can Brady feed? I mean, I know Brady can, but do they all have good games? And we'll see. I want to see, and then I'll feel comfortable starting him after that.
I am low on Austin Hooper from the Cleveland Browns. I expect Baker to be passing more, but at an early point, I expect it to be people that he has already established a relationship with.
For sure.
At the beginning of the season, so Landry, OBJ, and even Njoku coming back, being healthy now. I think that takes a lot away from Hooper right away.
And Kareem Hunt with his new extension.
Yeah, well, that doesn't affect this week one game.
Maybe passing.
He's if anything,
it's another pass catcher.
Going to be heavier now because his wallet's going to be full. He's not going to run as fast. The change in quarterback style could be a big factor from Hooper too, coming from Matt Ryan to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield being a little more mobile, obviously, and I don't like Matt Ryan, so
yeah, exactly.
That's a huge factor, is my personal opinion of these people.
That's good.
Last but certainly least, as far as priority in taking up a roster spot in your fantasy team, is defense.
Cool.
I am high on the Philadelphia Eagles. They are playing the Washington football team, who has nothing figured out. Their running backs are uncertain. Haskins is their starting quarterback, who is still very unreliable. And I'm going to make a not too out there bold prediction of the week. The Eagles will force 4 turnovers and return one of them for a touchdown.
Well, yeah. That would be great as defense.
Because that'd be a crazy stat line, but it's also not too far-fetched.
No, it's not. Like, the one, like the lone bright spot right now, at least, until things unfold, is Terry McLaurin. But that doesn't include Dwayne Haskins throwing the ball to or around Terry.
So
it's a good pick.
I'm making a bold prediction there, and I'm gonna see if it pays off.
Very nice.
4 turnovers.
My high defense is the Colts versus the Jaguars. I've been targeting them in leagues when I grab a defense because they have a week 1 matchup. I plan on streaming the defensive position. So I don't care. I don't even know what the Colts' long-term schedule is. They're a pretty decent defense. They're definitely not bad. They have a good offensive line and good running backs, so they have the mentality of, ground and pound, which just slows games down. It means the Jaguars' offense is on the field less often, and when you're on the field less often, you are scoring less points. So I like the Colts in a super juicy matchup against the Jaguars, who have punted like all of the good players from their team. Except for Gardner. Fournette said some rude things.
What about Chark? They got Chark still.
Oh, they do have Chark. Yeah, he's great.
And the Josh Lambo's their kicker?
So you went to the kicker, and that's where you're proving my argument.
Yes, but I'll agree with that. I mean, I like the Jags, and I really hope Minshew is going to put together a good season, but I don't expect a great week 1.
And Minshew and Chark can still have decent games where the Colts defense still has a good fantasy game, you know what I mean? Like Chark gets 80 yards and a touchdown. Well, okay, but if that's all they score, then the Colts defense did pretty good.
And you are low on?
I'm low on the Broncos. This is just more of a PSA of...
Oh, we didn't match any of our
I was
picks.
wondering if we would.
We didn't match any of our picks.
We'll probably never match.
We don't tell each other what we're picking beforehand, just because, we'll be more excited if we got the same one. But then we never do get the same ones.
You get, authentic Fantasy Brews, guys.
So authentic.
Yes.
100% cotton.
The Broncos defense in recent years has been a pretty good one. It used to be a very beastly one. PSA, they are not at that level anymore. They played the Tennessee Titans, which I think is a not the worst matchup to have as a defense, but I don't love it. I think Derrick Henry's going to do work again this year. I think he's going to actually catch a few balls. A.J. Brown's going into his second year with Ryan Tannehill as the starter from the beginning of the season this time. I feel like the Titans are like one more decent receiver away from some really, really great playoff appearances.
They've always been.
Hooray! Well, I mean, Corey Davis going in the 9th round of fantasy drafts, he could be.
I was high on Corey Davis last year, and it didn't.
So Broncos against the Titans, I don't think they're going to like tank your matchup, but I don't like that not so great anymore defense against an up and coming offense.
And I am low on the New Orleans Saints defense, one of the top rated defense, but they're still playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I wouldn't risk it because this could fuck you over.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on what your point settings are for defense, you could easily end up with -5, and the Saints could win.
Right.
Like, the Bucs could just be okay, or they could explode in a fury of touchdowns and deep bombs. And I'd rather pick a D that could get me a solid 5 points over one that could backfire huge on a 42-45 game. So I am low on the New Orleans Saints defense for the Week 1 matchup, because honestly, nobody really knows what the Bucs are going to do. They're scary, and they could be rightfully so, or it could be meh.
How disappointing.
It's not going to be bad. The Bucs offense is not going to be bad by any sense.
We know that.
We know that. But we don't know how crazy that
it
will be.
doesn't even, if you have Brady as your quarterback, the offense is automatically not bad. Regardless of who your coach is or who the other pieces are. But then you throw in all these great people that are on that team, and also Fournette. Yeah.
So those are highs and lows. We're going to go take a quick break and then come back with a Thrive Fantasy prop lock of the week. Stay tuned. Hello. We are done with our break, and now we're back to talk to you guys again.
I'm later.
More. We're going to give you our Thrive Fantasy prop lock of the week.
I want to be 30. 30 and flirty and thriving.
Prop lock and drop it. That's what I kept thinking of when I said prop lock. Prop lock and drop it.
I'll insert the audio clip.
Pop, lock, and drop it. Pop, lock, and drop it.
For those of you who don't know about Thrive Fantasy is a daily fantasy sports app for player props. You choose 10 player prop options from a list of 20 in order to build your lineup. We're going to give you our pick for the absolute lock of the week. So one, you can get an example of what kind of props there are out there, and one that we think will be high rewarding.
We're going to do this weekly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do. There are a number of contests you can enter. Like, for example, I already entered my picks for the Thursday specifically games, but we'll be giving you our prop lock pick for the slew of Sunday games.
This is a $25 buy-in, Sunday games, $20,000 prize pool.
That's super awesome. It's going to be mine.
The one we agreed on is Dalvin Cook, 77.5 rush yards, to take the over, which is worth 110 points, versus the under, which is worth 90 points. They give you different point options based on the riskier ones are worth more points. 110 is not the highest you can get, but still decently high, especially for a stat line like this. 77.5 rush yards for Dalvin Cook. I like the over. I think it's obvious. It's going to be over.
Dalvin Cook's a phenomenal running back. Packers defense has improved. Last year they improved from years past. I don't think they've really done anything to improve from last year, though.
No, and last year they were bottom 10 in rush defense.
Do you remember how they got eliminated from the playoffs?
Yeah, because they got ran over by the Niners.
Raheem Mostert had like over 200 yards. Like, that's almost never. It's either never happened or it's like one of a few people that do that in the playoffs.
Packers do not have a good rush D. Last year in one game against the Packers, because he was hurt the other game, Dalvin Cook had 154 rush yards in the one game. That's more than half of what the prop is given.
So we're taking Dalvin Cook with the over on 77.5 rushing yards. Aaron Rodgers was your low guy at quarterback. Who do you think wins that game? Packers or Vikings?
I think it's going to be a close game. I could see they're both in weird situations with wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I say overtime game. Packers take it, Sternberger, game-winning touchdown.
I feel
I'm doing a deep. You wanted who's going to win. I'm giving you what's going to happen.
Dude, that's another roster thing. I believe Tanyan was named the starting tight end.
Yeah, that was like last week. That's before even the official rosters came out. But
that guy's crazy.
that is our prop lock of the week. Use promo code FANTASYBREWS when signing up to receive $20 for free on your first deposit of $20 or more. You can get the Thrive Fantasy app in the App Store or Google Play Store or by visiting their website at thrivefantasy.com. Use promo code FANTASYBREWS.
Let us know how you do. We're excited. We'll be there right along with you. And every week we're going to give you that pick that's like against the grain, right?
You take 10 total props, but this is one that we are betting on. It's a high payout for something that can easily be done against that defense.
Absolutely. And you don't get any more hints from us because we still want to win the money.
Yeah. We're going to bang all the other 9 are on us. Moving on to our early Super Bowl Las Vegas predictions.
Super Bowl 55. Just going to throw that in there real quick.
All right, who's your NFC team in the Super Bowl?
My NFC team in the Super Bowl is the Dallas Cowboys.
I have the New Orleans Saints.
I picked the New Orleans Saints and then I changed to the Dallas Cowboys.
Who is your AFC?
My AFC, I went with the Chiefs.
I went with the Chiefs.
What?
Oh my God.
Who do you have winning the Super Bowl?
I have the Saints winning.
Okay.
Final
the
score.
NFC team.
Final score 35-45. Kamara Super Bowl MVP. Breeze will retire. That's my prediction.
I like the added that's nice. That would be the swan song for Breeze. If he wins, he's done for sure.
Do you have the Chiefs winning?
I don't. I have the Cowboys winning.
Okay, so we both have the Chiefs losing in the Super Bowl.
The listeners don't know this, but we made NFL MVP picks like
at the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, at the Super Bowl. So about 6-7 months ago, and Dak Prescott was my MVP. So
Mine
I guess
was Kyler Murray,
that's a great pick too. So I guess I'll just elaborate slightly. Both the Chiefs and the Cowboys have pretty soft schedules when you look at the strength of schedule ratings.
Yeah, Chiefs are like 18th.
Yeah, and the Cowboys were like 30th, being like 30th easiest or second easiest, or whatever.
Yes.
So the Cowboys, I think if Dak Prescott can take like another half step up just in his natural development as a quarterback,
if he wants money, he will.
Yeah, well, he's going to get that money now that everyone and their mothers are getting paid. I think the Cowboys have arguably, if Dak Prescott takes a half a step, I think the Cowboys might have even a better offense than the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it comes down to needing a solid quarterback to bring you that far. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is that quarterback. He gets you to the Super Bowl too. But I'm taking the Cowboys. I didn't pick a score, but I just jotted it down just on the spot. I said 27-24. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be not as high scoring as we would expect.
Well, with my Saints-Chiefs pick, neither of these teams had any major losses and just really added to their already impressive rosters. Chiefs have 18 of their 22 starters returning, so that's an easy pick to go back to the Super Bowl. Like, why would they? What would stop them, really?
Lamar Jackson.
Saints got Sanders, so that's an improvement there for the Saints. They didn't really lose anyone. Chiefs switched up a little bit at running back, but maybe in the long run for the better because they had McCoy and Williams. But
I'm going to go ahead and say Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a better running back than Damian Williams. Not at all.
That's why they're going to get to the Super Bowl. And again, I said Breeze is going to retire after winning the Super Bowl. Kamara, Super Bowl MVP, final score 35-45.
That's awesome. My Super Bowl MVP would be Dak Prescott, and I don't believe anyone will retire.
Someone will retire. Jason Witten will be back on the team, and he'll retire.
Jason Witten will unretire. Like, can I get in on that?
He'll be cut mid-season. He's on a team.
Who's he playing with? Right?
The Raiders.
Oh, that's right. Man, you're high on Darren Waller. Whew.
Yeah, I am.
Everything's fine.
All right, those are our predictions. Let us know what your Super Bowl predictions are. Most of them will probably be the Chiefs.
I had a lot of fun with that. I just jotted down names that I thought could actually contend for this to get to there, and then I went from there. And the Steelers were a team I thought of. Like, if Big Ben is back, that defense is so good.
Yeah.
The Titans, good team.
I
jotted down the Packers.
I would love it.
They could. They were in the playoffs the last couple of years, right? Didn't they beat the Patriots or something? Or
not last couple of years. Not 2 years ago. They didn't make playoffs.
Oh, rats. Well, that team's getting better too, and their defense is getting better, and it was already good.
You tell me that their wide receivers have gotten better?
A.J. Brown might get better. He's only going in his second year.
Wait, I thought we were talking about Packers now.
Oh, I was talking about Patriots. Sorry, Titans.
The Titans.
I did jot down the Packers and quickly deleted them.
But moving on to this week's round of Brews Clues. I have got the lead on the season of 8-3.
Correct.
I started last week. I don't know. I'm just going to go right now. This wide receiver has been on a new team each year since 2017
Wow.
for the full season, but is finally staying put for 2020, though his value may drop a little due to a team addition. The wide receiver has been on a new team each year since 2017, but is finally staying put for 2020, though his value may drop a little bit due to a new addition to the team.
I am going to say
I forgot who I put. I gotta look at my notes again.
Christian Kirk.
Nope. The
I don't
decent
think
guess.
he's been in the league
Decent
that
guess.
long.
No. He is not.
Damn. I should have taken more time, I guess, right away this time. I didn't think about it at all.
He finished as the wide receiver 19 last year, his best finish since 2015, when he finished number 21, but was still second best on his team behind Larry Fitzgerald. He led his team in yards last year with 1,060.
So,
He finished.
1,000-yard receiver last year, but still only receiver 19.
Yep.
New team every year since 2017, except for this year. And he's played with Larry Fitzgerald, who's been on the Cardinals forever. So he used to be a Cardinal.
Damn, I didn't think you'd know that.
Oh, man. This is the part where I look through the teams and think a little bit and then edit out some of the quiet sounds between my thinking spots. Yeah. Just trying to go team by team and work it out.
All right, TikTok.
Having been on the Cardinals, that slims it down.
He's been, one team he's been on. And you know what year? But I know you wouldn't know that much.
Yeah.
Because that's when you first started getting into fantasy football.
Which should be a hint in and of itself, but man, somebody who used to be on the Cardinals, I feel like that clue confused me more than
And he had a 1,000-yard season with the Cardinals. What you guess? Let's go.
I'm scared because I'm gonna say somebody who wasn't even on the Cardinals.
Do it.
I'm gonna embarrass myself.
Do it.
I don't have a good guess at all. I'm gonna say Rashad Perriman.
No, because he switched teams this year. He's not consistent with last year. He's on the Jets.
Oh, yeah, he was
now.
on the Bucks last year.
He's in the AFC East. Patriots, Jets, Dolphins, Bills.
New team every year since 20, so he's been bouncing around on those four teams, but finally has some consistency. So it's not a Patriots receiver. I already guessed a Jets receiver.
True.
There's another one there that I don't think is right. It's not a Dolphins receiver.
It's not a Bills receiver. It's not a Jets receiver.
So it's not... Oh, wait. Okay, so you're lying. He's not in any of those teams.
Damn it. You found it out.
I knew it.
Trick question.
I'm going to go with who I now realize it is, who is John Brown.
Yes, it is John Brown.
He was on the Cardinals. Oh, man.
He was on the Cardinals. He was on Baltimore for a year. I don't think people
That's
forget
right.
that. People just forget in 2018 he was on the Ravens.
I did not.
They forgot about the Ravens.
And he was okay last year. And that's such a good... Yeah, that's like where he finishes it. That all checks out.
Yeah, there you go. 1 point for you, John Brown.
Woo!
Give it to me, baby.
I just got to stump you completely multiple times, and I'll eventually get it and be good to go.
Remember to give you the sound thing.
Let's see if I can do better than last week, or if you could do worse than last week. All right, so last year's wide receiver 6, this, in my opinion, handsome man, had 9 games last year as a wide receiver 2. So for those of you listening, that is a top 24 finish in a week at the wide receiver position. He also had 5 games as a wide receiver 1, top 12, including 1 finished as the wide receiver 1 on a week when he had 7 receptions on 10 targets for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns. To go along with how well he did last year, he also had a single game where he goosed you and caught 0 of 7 targets. And that led to 0 fantasy points.
All right, wide receiver 6 in 2019. He's handsome. He's finished
in my opinion.
Wait, 9 games as the wide receiver 2 in the whole league or on his team?
9 weeks of the 16 weeks that he played, he was a wide receiver 2 or better. So of all the 16 games he played...
What do you mean by that, though? Well, what do you mean? What's your definition of wide receiver 2 on
Wide receiver 2 is a top 24 wide receiver. Like, think of 12 teams in the league.
That's why I wasn't sure if you meant like on his team. 5 games as a wide receiver 1, which is a top 1.
Top 12. It's like he was a top 12 fantasy receiver
7 receptions in one game for, I don't even know what I wrote.
So I'll just read it back real quick. So last year he was the wide receiver 6. 9 of the weeks that he played, he was a top 24 wide receiver, or in other words, a wide receiver 2. 5 of the games he played, he was a wide receiver 1. So that like 5 of the 9 wide receiver 2 games, like it's wide receiver 2 or better. So 5 of the 9 games he was a wide receiver 1. 4 other games he was a wide receiver 2. And then 1 of his wide receiver 1 finishes was the best receiver in that week. It was week 13, if you care. With the stat line, I read you 7 of 10 for 159 and 2. And then he also goosed you in one of the weeks during last year.
I'm just going to start off with A.J. Brown.
That's a good guess. It is not A.J. Brown. I like that. Oh, wait, hold on. We always forget, like, Kyle clicks the button, and then I don't get the phone, so I edit in the sounds for me later. It's so satisfying to press the button. And last week I would have gotten to. Clue 2. This former first-round pick took a few years to get going. His rookie year, which I think was 2015, and then going forward, he finished as wide receiver 69 in 2015, 50 in 2016, 57, and then 106 in 2018. He missed a couple games in a few of the years, but in 2018, where he was the wide receiver 106, he missed 5 games. And then last year, he had a total of 9 receiving touchdowns, which matches his cumulative total in his entire career up until last year. So from 2015 to 2018, he had 9 total receiving touchdowns, and then last year he also had 9 receiving touchdowns.
All right. This is kind of difficult.
I can buy you some time. Wasn't sure if I swung too far in the pendulum, but essentially he's been not good until last year, and he was a former first-round pick. His rookie year was 2015. It's basically the new information we got. And 9 touchdowns between 2015 and 2018, and another 9 touchdowns last year alone.
Is it Godwin?
It is not Godwin. I don't know if he's been in the league that long.
Nah, I don't think he is.
Wait, hold on, sorry. That's nice. My receiver is also in the AFC East. So that's the same, obviously, Patriots, Jets, Dolphins, and Bills. It is not John Brown.
Are you sure?
I am sure.
I can't remember.
He wasn't the wide receiver 6 last year.
I can't remember if this guy... I think he missed. Is it Stephon Diggs?
It is not Stephon
I was
Diggs.
going to say Diggs earlier, but I didn't even look at the other teams. I just thought of Diggs.
I wanted to give you an additional clue, but I didn't want to...
Is it Edelman?
No, it's not.
Wait, let me keep guessing. I know more players.
Yeah, every guess.
Wait, Devontae Parker.
That is the answer!
I should know this. I was fucking... When I was making mine today, I was looking at his stats. How did I not remember? I literally picked him. I almost picked him. I had him written down and changed it.
I think I finally figured out what I need to do. I need to pick players that, like, no one talks about, or, like, no one's been talking about, or, like, you specifically
I
have not
can't
been
believe
talking
it
about.
because I had him written down. I had a full clue for him, and I went back and changed it.
What, do you remember what it was, or no?
I think it was one of the clues was along the lines he's hasn't had a consistent starting quarterback since 2015.
It's legit. He's had bad gaze for a while.
I've even
or he
seen
had bad
years.
gaze for a while.
The number 9, and I remember it now exactly what I looked at. And
Most of its damage came in the second half of last year. The additional clue I was thinking about giving you was he won a lot of people leagues. Like him and Ryan Fitzpatrick, I picked up halfway through the season and just fucking ride him out. And I got
if I would have finished my
I'd have been fucked.
If I would have finished my clues before switching, I would have known it because I would have done a little more looking into. Or if I would have picked him, that would have been hilarious.
Just thought of a great idea. I'm gonna write up clues for every single player ever, or not, in the season now, and then I'll have.
Well, I think now that with season starting, the second clue should include something from the current season.
I think that makes sense.
To make it a little more easier and make it a little more relevant.
After the episode, when we're playing darts and continue drinking, let's figure it out.
Okay.
I almost was gonna start throwing in like the conference in the second clue every time, but whatever.
So you're taking 1, I'm taking 0. I am still up.
Oh,
84.
I never. Sorry. I don't think I hit it for the third one. I've got his picture in front of you. We'll tweet it out. Handsome guy.
Yeah, that didn't help me at all.
So he's a handsome dude. He's our age. He's 27. Love you, Devontae Parker.
Final thoughts on the episode.
Well, I mean, I'm super happy that I just started gaining 1 point of ground in Fantasy Brews.
It helps.
I'm excited for our high guys and low guys. That's going to be a fun segment to do every episode. Super Bowl predictions. We'll see if should we do a bet for Super Bowl predictions if one of us happens to actually win. The odds are pretty low. And I think my additional note I would add is you'll start getting some consistency as the season goes on with our episode. We're going to have the high and low guys every week. We'll throw at you, some waiver guys that we like a lot as well, and the prop block of the week as well. So it's a lot of exciting stuff to look forward to. And if you're listening to this on the release day, enjoy kickoff.
Yeah, I'm just pumped for the season start in general. I think it's going to be weird watching Patriots games without a Tom Brady, and it's going to be weird watching Bucks games with a Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But I wish them both the best. Tighten up. Go Patriots.